Hey everybody, and welcome to another flip through of Wargames Illustrated. This time we're going to look inside Wargames Illustrated 440. This is the August 2024 issue, and this is the Vietnam issue, or as they would call the theme, from the skies to the tunnels below. So, looking forward to this one. Inside, we're going to see some V for Victory, some Hail Seas Epic Battles. I think this is a diorama, and here's some building back end. So it's a nice mix, but overall the theme is Vietnam. So yeah, so let's look inside. Yeah, first off, the introduction to the magazine, telling you, yeah, this is the Vietnam issue. And if you look inside, there's some subscription now. Let me just say that I understand a lot of folks use digital, but there is some joy to receiving a magazine in your subscription or in your mail. And if you are into that, yeah, why not subscribe to Wargames Illustrated, or get the digital version version. Now, Wargames Illustrated is in no way paying me for this. I just like the magazine and I want to see it in print. So yeah, that's the reason why I keep promoting it. Now, observation post. We start off with Joseph A. McCullough's Death Ship One. Now, it's kind of neat because it's deep deep sea horror sort of game. We take wargaming to almost every little frontier, and sure, why not? Let's have a look at this one. It's definitely different. It's definitely something new. Moving along, we've got Ark Royal Miniatures by Warfare Miniatures, and this is World War one to 4,800 scale ships. These are really small ships. Now, I've never ever played a World War One ship naval battle, so this is definitely something to look at. Um, and I think this is the rules set for Dreadnought. Very nice looking, very nice looking. And if you're looking and wondering what the size is, that's the size right there in your palm. You've got like almost a whole bat, a naval force, battle cruisers and stuff like that. Very nice. Definitely a scale worth looking at if you're into naval warfare and you don't have enough space and you want to collect a whole nations, fleets. Yeah. Moving along, we got Sarissa Precision's World War One Europe 15 figures, ship buildings. Now, I like Sarissa. I built a couple of Sarissa models. In fact, recently I built a Sarissa model for Epic Battles, Hail Caesar, the Watchtower. And let me just say, it's a really nice kit, really simple to do, and it's made from MDF, so I can pretty much say that any one of these buildings would be easy to build and very nice to look at once they're done. Over here is the hobby corner, and here we see well, it's a guide to building, I guess. I haven't really gone through the magazine proper, but I guess there's the pitfalls and some tips on how to put together a ruinous construction, I guess. Okay, let's move along. North Star figures have got a new box out. This is the Frostgrave Cultist 2. Now, usually most of the 2 series from Frostgrave feature female figures. So this one is probably the female cultist. Um, I mean, these figures are doing really well in the store. Some folks are just buying it and building it for fun, not even playing the game. It's one of those things where you can mix and match, and as you can see over here, they actually did mix and match. And this one, they mixed and matched Stargrave Scavengers and Stargrave Cultists to get you figures like that. So it's all because they're all about the same scale. It's easy to mix, which is great. Next up, bill hooks, games and accessories. This is for never mind the bill hooks. As you can see, they have the Fantasia stuff now, which we will see a bit later. There's a scenario for it, and the ruckus and boat hooks. The bill hooks range seems to be chugging along quite nicely. So be sure to keep an eye because you never know. WI tends to give away nice free sample rule sets. So let's see what we're gonna get in the near future. Next up is the ad for War Games, Warlord Games' bolt action, which is out by now. If you're watching this, it's out by now. Let me just say, we actually done a flip through for this, so go check it out if you haven't. Next up, release radar, and in release radar, um, we see what's coming, what as they call it, the new going ons in the hobby. Starting off with something from Rapid Fire. I used to play Rapid Fire, but it's nice to see they're still making supplements for Rapid Fire. And then you got some wall paint, which this is basically like a painting guide from a Caliber books. And this is basically how to paint, Native Americans. And then you got the let's see now. This is the Romantic War, a wargamer's guide to the first colorless war, Spain, 1833 and 1840 by Helen Games. Okay, I got to double check what this is. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I didn't flip through the magazine very yet in depth. So this is as due to me as it is to you, more or less. Now we have the Bavarian Chevaligers. Is that Chevaligers? Well, pretty, butchering the pronunciation. And then you got SKS miniatures, and it's STL files for 3D prints. So they carry all the bases here, some books, some miniatures, some STLs, and then you got some terrain bits or scattered terrain. Like first score has what's this? Interlocking road pieces. There you go. You got road pieces as well. Then the hobby is really, really like expanding nicely. We're getting different bits to help us with the hobby, making things easier. It's great. Why not? It's great. Moving along, they have the they call it for something completely different, and this is the all-in-one modular art box. And just to make sure that things as mixed. You got clonosaurus.com. This is basically gaming in the dinosaur, Jurassic. I know there are a couple other six periods where you got like our lizard um, monsters, I guess, from back in the day. Or I think in this one would probably be more fantasy. Yeah, so this is clonosaurus.com. The game is called Clonosaurus, the miniatures game. Yeah, why not? I mean, there are a lot of like dinosaur miniatures out there in toy stores. Definitely you could use that to play with this. Then we have dice. So the Race Radar actually has covered everything you need. And this is the dice is from Dice Bites from getdicebites.com. Okay, so moving along, we got the cultural experience, military history, and history, which is again every time I look through this, it's one of those things you want to go for, but half a world away, it'll cost me an arm and a leg, but one can hope and one can dream. Yeah. Now, quick fire. This is basically um when you have the readers send in the articles for print, and this is kind of neat. And this one is Jonesing for Josoying. Oh my god, I might have destroyed that one. Righteous Bows and Cavalry, and I think this is the let me see now. This is the Imjin War, Japanese invasion of Korea. Yep, nice looking figures. He's taking his pictures in his garden. Look at that, nice real grass right there. Anyways, moving along, we start into the magazine proper, and we got this. We started with tunnel rats. Now, the idea of tunnel rats was introduced to me when I was reading this comic book called Nam, and there was an issue that was totally focused on the tunnel rats. And from that moment on, I was totally intrigued by the concept of tunnel rats. And in this article, Lisa Smetman goes underground and braves the harrowing conditions of the Viet Cong tunnels to kick off the Vietnam War team. I think this looks really great. This looks more like a display, but very nice looking figures. Spelunking. I doubt if the tunnel rat experience is anything close to spelunking, but but very nicely. You see, there's some research on what a typical Viet Cong tunnel complex looks like, which is actually great for reference. But I think there's also a game that was run. Yeah, I think it is. But very nice. I think the big trick to doing Vietnam is what kind of game you want to run. And looking at this, I never thought of running a game in the tunnel complex. So yeah, this is definitely an article worth having a look at. But as you can see, it's a lot of research inside, and it's research for you to play, which is always great for me. Some pictures as well that help drive drive the feel home of tunnel ratting. Ah, and some nice pictures as well. Very nice article actually. If you just getting this magazine, even not to play, just to read it, looks like a really nice article. I might want to go back in again and have a look at what the game's all about. But just offhand, looks really really good. Very nice really nicely presented article. Moving along, we got the Team Yankee, and we got some Frostgrave here. Again, Cultist 2. And then we're building an epic diorama. And I was very interested in this article simply because not many people um, got into Epic Hill Caesar, the Hannibal set. But I know a lot of people who actually have frames that they got with the magazine, and I know some people who actually bought frames from other people who bought the magazine and didn't want the frames. And this is a great way to utilize all the frames that you got free with the magazine, and it's basically putting everything onto a nice diorama. I mean, if you're not gonna play with it, at least at least paint it and make it a nice diorama. It would be a good experience. But looking at this, it's very well thought out. The layout and the materials and methods that they went with to put this together. A worthwhile article for those who enjoy getting the free figures but are not intending to play the game. What do you do with those frames? This is a great way to look at it. A great way to utilize those frames, to be honest. The article is actually very substantial, and it even provides tips on on how to do a project like this, a big project, painting process, and you know tips on making big dioramas. Then finally, it looks really good. Actually, it looks really really good. The narrative is there, and look at that. I mean, come on, look at that. It looks really really good. Then we got First Call, the 28 millimeter Mexican American War. I've never played this period ever, but figures look nice, no? I'll be curious to roll some dice and move these figures around. And then we got next article is Saigon 68. Now the thing about this article is the first time I saw this table was in one of the YouTube videos for Salute, and even in the video I was totally stunned. I think I was not alone because there seems to be a lot of focus on this particular table, and it's really really nice that Wargames Illustrated brought this table onto print, for us to keep a record of this very very nice table. Um, it's basically the Tet Offensive, done during the, the Vietnam War. It's some very nice detail. And because it's a magazine, you get a chance to look inside things that you could have only seen if you were there at the event. And although this is not the full experience, but it gives some idea on the scope, on how they built the table, what the table looks like. I honestly love this part of the table, where the guy guy who did the demo did his best to get everything quite accurately done. And coming from this part of the world, this is almost like a familiar looking scene, and kudos for getting it done really really nicely. All these little bits of detail, and again, it is something a magazine would do well, that perhaps a YouTube channel might not do so well. And it's good to have this, keep uh, just to just for record's sake, because I don't know whether there's going to be another table like this next year, but this table is definitely very very impressive. And there are a lot of nice looking pictures. Lots of nice looking pictures with lots of nice looking figures, which is great. Something I like. I definitely like. Next up, an advert for Heinz figures. Again, these are people who pay for the advertising, and these are people I like to always acknowledge because without them, we won't have a magazine because these guys pay the Wargames Illustrated bill. Okay. Next up, we got V for Victory or Five for Victory. Um, and this is a rule set that actually came out a couple. I've got to find. I got to know about this rule set a couple of WIs ago. And what this is let me see now. It's from Steel Tomahawk, and it gives a look inside the sessions or looks at the game and how to play the game, which is great because the good thing about magazines like WI, is it's 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 a kind of magazine that you flip to find out what's going on, and it's always great to find out new rule sets. Again, I sound like I'm evangelizing a WI here, but let me just say that it's a good magazine if you want to trying to find out what's happening in the tabletop wargaming world, which I am very very interested to know. And the Wargames Illustrated is one of those magazines where it keeps you updated. Next up is the war game that goes wrong, and now this one apparently is the Battle of Buck. Well, it is not. It's not apparently. It is, and the uh, the scenario was it says it feels full of mishaps. I'm not so sure what this is just yet, but I think it's how to run one of those scenarios where you're trying to get out of a sticky situation. Again, the reason why I flipped through this first without even like flipping reading it is simply because I want to experience this and show you what it looks like, at the same time. So it's a discovery on for both of us, the you and me as well. But very nice. All this nice figures. And I also like the fact that they've actually given the figures a bit of a caption so we know what some context to the pictures as well. Next up, Stargrave, Dead or Alive, which is out now. And then this is the painting and modeling section. Like this, how to build uh, a hobbit's hole or hobbit's home. I've seen many articles and many attempts to do this. Some huge projects and some smaller projects, and I like the fact that there's one right here because at some point if when you're watching the movie, I don't know about you, but I usually think I would like to build that. I would like to model that. And here's like some tips or some guides on how to do this. I mean, you can't have enough guides, and when a magazine has still pictures, it's a good enough thing to have in the or back room in the storeroom that you can pull out if ever you feel like making Bag's End or Hobbit's Hole. Moving along, we have Deep Cup Studios, and this is a pre-painted terrain and game mats. Another company responsible for helping to pay the bills. Now, this is another article, another Vietnam article, and it says Vehicles of Vietnam Part 1, Transporting the Troops. This looks like a really, really nice article because as you can already tell, I mean, just a quick browse, you can already tell it's going to be one of those like really, really educational uh, article. Mm, Everything from the M113 Osama carrier, and you got how you know. Of course, this is the more typical, well, not really typical, but common transport. But as you go in, there are special rules for it, you know. And then there's an article on the Battle of Long Tan. It's also quite cool. And then the there are little bits like this, like the Australia's involvement in the Vietnam War, really small, about like 200 words more or less, or maybe 500 words. Um, but it looks like it's like a really juicy and meaty article. And in case you weren't already convinced, you've got this kit over here. This is the Rubicon Huey, which let me just say is one of the best kits out there from Rubicon, and I'm so glad it's found its place in the magazine. And you got Magister Militum's Huey as well over here. But I mean, this magazine, you're gonna see a lot of Vietnam, um, you know, vehicles and stuff like that. So I would have been shocked if the Huey didn't make it, and even more shocked if the Rubicon Huey didn't make it. Very nice kid, that one. Okay, so you got some scenarios, and I assume the scenarios are general scenarios. So when you play any rule set that you wanna, you know, graft onto this the scenario parameters, and you can just use them. Next up, Massacre at Dwarven Tower Pass, Billhook, Fantasia, Battle Report. Now the Billhooks have like I said expanded to include now fantasy range, and it's quite cool because now you've got a system that you all you've got to do is just change the feel and you've got a totally new game. I'm looking forward to see if I'm going to actually have a game with this, and if I do, um, why not? I mean, looks interesting enough. I mean, when you have enough fantasy figures for all the different games, it's a simple matter of just either rebasing or even then adjusting the base to the game and then you can play. But this article is basically battle report, so it gives you an idea of what the game's all about, how it feels, how the game plays. But for me, the big win is seeing all these different figures on the table, and it's kind of nice that they actually acknowledge the figures from the some a lot of the figures are from the Oathmark range of figures. And again, if you're gonna sell, if you're gonna want you want to sell figures, you need pictures of miniatures, and there you go. Moving along, we've got another tour of duty. No, it says here regrets. I've had a few, and one of them selling my Nam collection. So Ron Ringrose rebuilds his Vietnam War collection, and we show his fine models in action. Now, this I'm looking for to read this article because as we get older, we tend to find that sometimes some of these figures that we have, you know, uh, are sold because we either don't have the space for it, don't have the time for it, and don't have the resources for it. Uh, um, so it's always nice when you go back and you try to rebuild it again. You're going back with a little bit of knowledge on how to build it properly, but it's also a slight sadness of remembering the models that you had, which you can't get anymore. Because if you've been in this hobby long enough, you'll know that there are different manufacturers, and some of the smaller manufacturers go out of business. And sometimes you like the scalps and you can't get them anymore. So I got a feeling this article is going to be really, really good to read because you know well, as you can see, the hobbyist is right there. uh, because it's nice to look at it and from someone who has gone through the experience of like losing the army or selling the army and starting again, because you never know, man. This could be the trigger for you to restart a period which you have stopped, or start a scenario or a small war games collection of something that you sold before, and make it bigger. Yeah. Okay, so over here we've got the bolt action rule set, but used for the Nam of Vietnam. Again, very very cool. And so this guy Ron, he's part of the Essex Gamesters, which is cool. It's a good war games group when they want to play and they just take whatever rule set they've got. If they can't find a rule set for it, and they play with the figures they've got. Looking forward to this article. Definitely looking forward. Next up, we got a pulp article, and this is a papyrus pulp and the oath of Osiris, and this is from the pulp rulebook that Osprey magazine has released. Let me just say that Osprey Osprey rule sets are doing really really well at the store. For a lot of folks, it's really material, but for some folks, it's a chance to a game, something which is a smaller miniature count, because for a lot of pulp games, the miniature count is slightly smaller than most much bigger games. It's a chance to also model some really nice Hollywood-esque looking sets, or in this case, terrain to play with. So yeah, and I think the Osprey rulebook actually covers a whole lot of different periods and feels and vibes for you to just play with. Very nice article. Next up is the Gradara project. Now, let me just read this really quickly. Editor Dan and the Perry brothers packed their bags and sculpting tools and jet off to see an award-winning wargaming and cultural collaboration. I think this is one of those displays that's done um, that you can play on, I guess. I would think. But this is also an interview. Again, I haven't gone through the interview, and I'll leave that to you when you get the magazine to read the interview. But I like stuff like this. It's a way for us to get our hobby into to mainstream eyes, and it looks like something that's really really exciting, because it basically means that you For a lot of folks, you can connect the history and the gaming, and this usually helps get a lot of people into historical wargaming, which is always a good idea, always a damn good idea, and lots of nice pictures too. Also, very very nice pictures too. Um, just by flipping through it, it looks like a great collaboration, worth reading. Next up, Colors 2024, Saturday, 14th September. By the time you read this, this is probably done, and I'll be looking forward to some videos on this on YouTube for me to peruse and enjoy the tables. Art Master Studios, North Star, all pay the bills for WI. Sidetracks Models, Hella and Company, Dixon Miniatures, uh, Mardaf Miniatures, no Bills, Breakdown 2024, Nottingham's #1 show, and that's in August. Again, I think this is probably done as well by the time you read this. Then Wargames Atlantic, and this I think is the advert for their epic scale. Let me guess, it's a Gripping Beast at the end, right? Oh, sorry, Bricks Creek. This was featured in the WI before this one. Yep, Gripping Beast gets the back cover. Wood Woses. All right, Wild Men of the Woods. That's pretty much it. That's Wargames Illustrated 440, the Vietnam issue. Very, very nice. Lots of good articles inside. And if you're a fan of the Vietnam period, I'd be surprised if you didn't already order this. But if you did not know it exists, go and get it. I'm sure either Wargames Illustrated or uh, maybe the Warlord Games, one of those places where you can buy magazines like this, would have one in stock. But I got a feeling this one will sell out really, really quick. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed the magazine flip through. And I'll see you in the next one.